commence with the questions from the Member of Parliament, Artwell M.R. Irian. His first question, will you instruct all projects that lack a civil works permit to halt construction? The government acknowledges that a process which was legally in place and reinforced in 2021 has not been properly implemented. Since taking office, discussions regarding the need for civil works permits have persisted. Noting the very broad stroke reasons as to why a civil works permit is needed, the decision was taken to develop an exemption policy that may be used to inform legal changes to the existing legislation in future. We are currently assessing the best and most practical solution that serves the public interest while considering the ministry's capacity. As stated during my presentation, this should be finalized within short. While the intention is not to review all past decisions and stop all current construction that lacks a civil works permit, if the lack of a civil works permit causes significant issues during construction, the ministry will go back to the law and ask for this to be remedied. Will your ministry conduct inspections to ensure compliance with civil works permits? The ministry does and will continue to conduct controls, taking into consideration the previously stated. How does the lack of a ratified budget affect hiring and staffing in the ministry? The hiring process is not being affected by the non-ratification 2025 budget. The vacancies that are budgeted for in 2025 budget are the remaining vacancies in 2024 budget that we were unable to fill. Currently, we are busy filling 2024 budgeted vacancies as follows. We are in the final stages of hiring 1, the financial controller, 2, a judicial policy advisor, 3, a quality manager, and 4, a policy advisor, and 5, department head for domain affairs. How long does it take to publish a permit in the National Gazette? Every 2 weeks, the permits department compiles all permits issued in the document designated for the National Gazette and Government Information page. DCOM and General Affairs receives the document to be published from the permit department and informs the department when the publication date will commence. MP Irian's final question, do you hold yourself accountable for all government decisions, even those in the Council of Ministers? Decisions are made based on majority vote. Individual ministers can disagree with a decision and motivation, if any, is noted. The decisions of the Council of Ministers are the official government positions and as such must be executed by all ministers.
First permit, and you mentioned the policy, and you said you made it clear that you're not going to subject all past projects on identifying if they have a civil works project permit or not, but then it becomes very subjective because you said if it disturbs, but then who decides that? Who decides which or which not? So the policy, it becomes very subjective and it looks very then like you kind of targeting and certain entities or certain people. And that was one of the questions I posed already. How are you going to do this? And you didn't answer the other question I had, but I'll get in the clarifications.
MP Irian, I now invite the Minister to continue. And Minister, if you can address the point raised by MP Irian.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. If you can submit the question, MP Irian, or clarification around, that'd be great. And when it regards to serious issues for things such as things like access, obstruction, if you're excavating and there is material that we don't know where it's going, how it's being deposited, those are serious issues. And it's also regulated in the civil works permit, exactly. The question is now from the MP, Darrell T.J. York. What definitions does the building ordinance provide for residential, commercial, and mixed-use properties? I refer to Article 1 of the building ordinance for the definition of gebouw, woning, weg, openbare weg. No other documentations and definitions are included in the building ordinance. What does Article 22 of the building ordinance specify regarding permit approvals and denials? Article 22 states, a decision to grant a resident a conditional building permit or to refuse it in whole or in part shall be always substantiated and may only be based on one or more of the following circumstances. 1, that the application, the drawing, the description of the building, of part of the building does not comply with the regulations issued by pursuant to this regulation. 2, that the building, also in connection with the construction method used, cannot be considered to have solidly that it does not pose a danger to the lives of the residents or users or to the environment. 3, that the dimensions or rooms or staircase or the number of layout of toilets or the number of access routes for light and air are considered insufficient. 4, that the use of the building or part of the building is considered to be harmful to public health or to the health of users. 5, that the building or part of the building will disfigure the surroundings or will be a nuisance or fire hazard to the surroundings due to its location or construction method. 6, that the road on which the house will be located does not meet the requirements that are set for the route, width, and construction thereof, taking into account the nature of the house and the requirement of the road being passable for the government services. 7, that the building plan is in conflict with the zoning regulations of a development plan or the regulations pertaining to an approved subdivision plan in which the land involved in the application is included. And finally, that a permit pursuant to the monument ordinance is required or that the building plan has not been granted. MP York's third question, what mechanisms are in place to ensure Article 22 is properly implemented? Article 22 is an article in the is an article in the building ordinance, which is a lands ordning, national ordinance. In our assessment of proposed plan, many aspects are considered. The Ministry of ROMI aims to ensure overall sustainable spatial development for the entire island, which is and cannot be limited to the building ordinance and parking standards alone. We look at the bigger spatial planning picture and therefore assess projects from a broad perspective. So the hillside policy, the beach policy, spatial development strategy, zoning plans, climate change, nature, environment, infrastructure, etc., are all considered when projects are assessed. Were the controversial construction projects already known to the ministry before media attention, the ministry should, in principle, be aware of all projects and actions taken. This awareness differs between individuals or departments within the ministry depending on the role played in a particular project or action. Therefore, awareness of projects before media attention is there for some and for others not. Can the minister provide a list of cases where policy advice was ignored when issuing permits? I would ask your indulgence, MP York, for this information to be provided to you via a lobbook, which I understood you already submitted a request. So I'll have that for you just to avoid everyone's information on the floor of Parliament.
Not just to witness a physical restoration, but to celebrate spiritual and cultural resurrection. 5 months ago, November 25th, a promise was made to rebuild 13 carnival booths that were devastated by Hurricane Irma. Though humble and simple in design, yet iconic structures, not just for their physicality, but for the nature of what they represent and harness as part of a totality of what they represent. They carry not just the smoke and seasoning, but the soul, the Bacchanal soul. Today, that promise is fulfilled and delivered. Each booth now stands rebuilt, repainted, reborn, not just as concrete blocks, steel and metals and ring beam, but as a vibrant altar of culture, commerce, and community. Carnival on St. Martin is not merely a festival. It is a rite of passage, A spiritual release, a history told through pulsating beats and bass line and double entendre lyrics, social commentary, chants and jams, bikini beads and feathers, luscious gyrating bodies, prancing, chipping, bodies glistening in colorful strobe lights and moonlights, in blistering sun and sometimes in cooling downpour. St. Martin Carnival, it's told through the creative street theater, soca, calypso, pageantry, road march, and the masses through an intergenerational coming together. It is the art of Bacchanal revelry.
It is with great pleasure as a family to come here today and stand up and to be able to say something on behalf of my father, who contributed so much have been honored to be awarded his name on this venue. Words cannot express how we as a family feel in terms of a memory that will live with each and every one of us. Also, the people of St. Martin that can come and unite here and enjoy this venue. Carnival will always live on in the sense of bringing people together.
It's a great pleasure to be here today to witness the rebuilding of what was dubbed as the most critical factor during Carnival. I could recall every time Carnival would start, people would enter the venue, they would like, those boots ain't finished repaired as yet, and then the critics will be express who is responsible for the repairing of the boots and why isn't it considered a priority. That's a question that I even didn't understand myself up to now, so let alone to answer that question to persons who posed them. But nevertheless, we are here where we are today, and it's a done deal. And I also like to thank our Honorable PM, Mr. Mercelina, for taking up those low-hanging fruits. When Mr. Mercelina was approached about it, he was like, hey, he said he needed to get it done. He said he don't want it done half done. He said, listen, if it's going to be done and ready for Carnival, we're going with it. Don't tell me we're going to get it done and it's not going to be done. So I'm very proud that we're here today to celebrate the completion of these 13 booths and also PM. Thank you for the confidence giving to the Ministry of Roaming and in particular the Department of New Projects.
Today we're gathered for a simple but meaningful occasion. The completion of and handover of these booths are a testament to several things. The first being the value of a well-oiled project management team, and I want to acknowledge the civil servants from Brommy and General Affairs for their efforts. The second being the hard work, knowledge, and drive of our local contractors. Mr. Holly, your commitment to deliver on your promise for a structurally sound and on-time product, especially as many doubted you would be able to have this ready in time, is demonstrated here today. Finally, the completion of and handover of these booths is a demonstration of the importance of communal and community spaces. The Justin Arndale Festival Village plays host to several events every year, but the undeniable headliner is Carnival. This morning, we pay tribute to Mr. Arndale, one of the founding fathers of our modern Carnival celebrations. Mr. Arndale had a vision for a different type of celebration, traveling to places within the region and eventually bringing back ideas that set the foundation of our own St. Martin Carnival. The modern St. Martin Carnival is a cornerstone of our cultural identity, but at just under 60 years old, is a testament to the fact that culture is not stagnant. Culture is ever-changing, and just like a good walk-up, culture is dynamic and unpredictable.
As you heard, I was becoming a monster for Mr. Kurt Ruan because I really wanted this complex to be finalized before the Carnival, of course, of St. Martin. It's both for me a personal honor and a national privilege to stand before you today in the heart of our culture, our community, and our culinary pride, the Jocelyn Arndale Festival Village. Today we are not just unveiling a bust, as is standing here behind me, or dedicating boots. No, we are cementing legacy. We have to realize it very good. And we are honoring, as Clara said, history. We are celebrating a man whose vision planted seeds that continue to bloom with vibrancy and purpose. The name Joycelyn Arnell evokes more than just memories. It evokes meaning. He was not just a public servant, he was a cultural architect. This is not merely the dedication of 13 boots, as I said, this is the expansion of opportunity for our country. Each boot represents a stage of creativity, a window for entrepreneurship, and a doorway for heritage. From seasoned vendors to first-time dreamers, this village is their village. This village is your village.
Where we are today took time. It took us a great effort to get to there, but what we were doing, we were focusing on the prize. We were focusing on the objective, and we did not lose sight of that objective. And I just would like to say on behalf of the project teams, on behalf of NRPB, and also the support of the World Bank, thank you, Minister. Thank you, SG. Thank you, Steering Committee, for helping us to keep our eyes on the prize. And this is just one of those bold steps, like Peter stepped out of the boat and went underwater to prove that if we come together, if we stay together, if we stay focused, we will achieve the objective. There's a lot of resources that have been provided for this project in terms of from the trust fund, a lot of investments. Franz mentioned the envelope that was put aside, and this is just one of those small steps that will do great and big things when we advance towards realizing that objective. So on behalf of all of us who day in and day out work tirelessly on achieving these small steps towards the big objective, I say thank you, and we look forward to greater things as time progresses.
This project is very complicated. There are many facets, and we do put a lot of pressure on ourselves as well as on everybody, every stakeholder in the project. So it's always good to see these types of wins. I'd like to use a couple of stolen sayings to buttress some of my points. One is the world does not reward complacency. It rewards those who recognize the advantages and use them wisely. I think this is something we all are trying to do more of in this partnership. And I recall that some conversations we had last year, maybe even before you joined Minister and SG, we talked a lot about minimum viable products. Like, let's just do it. Let's have these small quick wins, as we call them, to show incremental progress. And I would always draw on Mr. Harman's points to be creative and flexible. And I think this is really an effort in creativity, in at least starting, and then let's see how it works, and then we build on it. And I would like to encourage every one of us in this partnership to keep doing this, not just with the entrance fee, but in every single activity. Because as we lay the groundwork, we lay the foundation, then we can build on it, and then we recognize where there are gaps, and then we can pull the kind of support we need. And one such that we recognize today with the visit to the French side. And we see that actually sometimes the help we're looking for isn't actually that far away. It just takes starting and then calling out for help, and you find that people will come around the table. And we always say in the World Bank, it's easier to push for more resources, whether it's money, it's time, it's expertise, when people can see the evidence going in the right direction.
It's time for a new brand that is as bold, vibrant, and colorful as the island of St. Martin, with colors drawn from our diversity, cultural heritage, and nature. Our breathtaking beaches, waters, and sun, the majestic brown pelican, our national symbol, the radiant yellow sage, our national flower, the historic border monument signifying the Dutch and French sides, our exciting cruise, yachting, and boating ports, renowned Maho Beach and St. Martin Airport, the hub to the Caribbean. All these parts come together to create the shape of the island of St. Martin. More than a logo. It's a new brand that engages, excites, and will inspire travelers to book. It's time to tell the St. Martin story, to reintroduce travelers to St. Martin, to honor our past, to embrace our present, and shape our future. Our culture and diversity, Dutch and French sides, unrivaled cuisine, twice the nightlife, entertainment, and shopping, cruises, boating, and yachting. Twice the adventure, exploration, and relaxation. Splendid and scenic accommodations. Pinel, Tentamar, and island hopping in the Caribbean. Whatever your taste, St. Martin has more. Experience twice the Caribbean. St. Martin.
mentioned there's a synopsis of the early childhood development centers. It has been determined, according to that particular item in the country package, that there's no seamless transition from early childhood to kindergarten, elementary, etc. And is there a plan to deal with that specific matter? Yes, through you, Mr. Chairman, to MP Westcott. Progress has been made in addressing this issue. The ECD policy framework was recently approved, marking a significant step toward improving early childhood education and ensuring a smoother transition from early learning to formal schooling. In addition, the Department of Youth and other key stakeholders have been actively reviewing policies and developing strategies to bridge this gap. A critical next step is hiring an ECD expert to develop an ECD curriculum guide, which will provide structured guidance for early learning programs and ensure alignment with primary education. To further support this transition, the Department of Youth, in collaboration with VSA, has developed program quality and early childhood services in St. Martin, establishing minimum standards. These standards, which align with the ECD policy framework, focus on health and safety, so ensuring safe, hygienic learning environments, child protection, so implementing policies to safeguard children from abuse and neglect, staff qualifications, establishing training and certification requirements for caregivers, inclusive education, thus ensuring equitable access for children with special needs and exceptionalities, parental engagement, strengthening partnerships between parents and ECD providers. These efforts, combined with curriculum alignment, teacher training, and enhanced parental engagement, are part of a broader strategy to establish a seamless transition from early childhood to primary education. The ministries remain committed to finalizing and implementing these initiatives, with further updates to be provided as progress continues. Question 7, where do we stand regarding the pool of teachers? Is there an indication of a teacher shortage? The teacher shortage is a complex issue, as some schools have specific criteria for hiring educators, including alignment with their institutional values and educational philosophies. Secondary schools are also responsible for selecting teachers who have a teaching certification to complement their specific skill set if it was acquired as a bundle. So, for example, ICT certification with a teaching certification versus history teacher. Schools have been posting vacancies via various media platforms for the new school year, and recruitment is ongoing. I'd also like to note that the teaching shortage is a regional and global issue. Many countries, even in the Netherlands, are experiencing a shortage of teachers, especially for specific subjects at the secondary level. Next question, is there any data about the teacher training course and its delivery of teachers? According to data from USM, the teacher training program continues to produce graduates annually. In 2023, USM, in collaboration with the University of Virgin Islands, awarded Bachelor of Arts degrees to 8 teachers and Master of Arts degrees to 2 teachers. MP then asked, she would like to be able to ascertain what our teachers training course has done for providing teachers on the island, and could that link be made tying into that same question about teachers? And if the possibility was the criteria for study financing, was it waived in favor of giving more persons the opportunity to study to be a teacher? Is that still in place? And is it necessary to have it? So the Professional Development Program, through you, Mr. Chairman, is a program that has been designed in collaboration with school boards to provide in-service training to teachers. Through this program, teachers who do not yet meet all the qualifications to teach in St. Martin's schools are afforded the opportunity to gain said qualifications. There are no policy or legislative changes to exempt prospective teachers from any of the study financing application requirements at this time. Moving on to questions from MP Egbert Duran. We've seen a report from 2020 to 2022. Is there any reason why we are seeing this report now and not earlier? Is there any effort for the reports to be earlier moving forward so we can act quicker when we see certain things that need addressing? Specifically in this case, the State of Education report was submitted to Parliament by the then Acting Minister of Education, Culture, Youth and Sport, Mr. Lyndon Lewis, in June 2024. In general, the documents required to compile the report sometimes arrive from schools with errors. Upon arrival at Inspectorate, the head inspector assigned to the specific school reviews the documents. If corrections are needed, the school manager or director is notified with a CC to the school board. If the corrections are made and submitted in a timely manner, the data is entered into an overview form. The senior head inspector reviews the compiled data while preparing the State of Education report. If any discrepancies are identified, the report is sent back to the head inspector for further verification. Once finalized, the report is submitted to the division head for a final verification before being forwarded to the Secretary General for review. SG then submits the report to the minister or follows up with the division head if further clarification is required. A key challenge in the process of generating these reports is the timely resubmission of flagged documents. Despite the respective board being included in the communication, corrections are sometimes delayed, which affects the verification of totals and leaves the relevant chapter incomplete. Additionally, without a formal enhancement mechanism, there's often a lack of urgency in the process. It is also important to note that the inspectorate currently manages all data manually, as at this stage, no information management system is in place. However, that will change in the future.